Hi, I'm Marvin, and welcome back to another Workflow Wednesday. And in this Workflow Wednesday, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use RealGuide to convert a 360 scan of a denture into a tissue scan. So right now I have RealGuide open, and as you see, I have my 360 scan of this patient's prosthesis. So right now what we want to do, of course, is we're going to be doing a treatment plan with this case. But what we want to do is we want to be able to make a tissue model out of this, one that we can work on and, of course, build our guides on top of. So right now, as you see, we have this, and we are actually in the sandbox function in RealGuide. So this is kind of like a mesh editing tool that they have in the software, which will allow you to do different things with your meshes. So you can fix them, fill in holes, you can create blockouts and everything like that. This is even where you can come and create models that you've probably seen on other Workflow Wednesdays that we've done. But there's so many different tools inside Sandbox that it's really good to know what you have, so you know what you can do with different scans that you bring into the software. So of course, right now, this is going to be for a case that we're going to be planning like an all-on-4, an all-on-X4. But what we have right now, of course, is the actual denture scan, and we want to make this into a tissue scan. But of course, we also don't want to lose this denture scan because it will be a reference that we use when doing the treatment plan. So as you see here, on the top right side, we have only one object, and that is our denture. But of course, if we go ahead and we edit this denture to become a tissue scan, we will lose this. And of course, we can definitely go back to where we found this original scan and bring it back in and realign it to the CT scan. But to go ahead and save ourselves some time from doing that, we're gonna go ahead and duplicate this. So if we go right here to the top right where it says objects, you're gonna have 3 lines next to the object that you're referring to. So whether it's the face scan, the denture scan, whether it's a face scan, whether it's a tissue scan, anything like that. If you're going to edit it, but you want to keep the original one, it's very important that you do duplicate it, just so you don't have to go back and forth in your steps, and you can save a lot of time without having to bring it back in and realign it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna left click on these 3 lines, and you're gonna notice that different options come up, but one of them at the very bottom is duplicate. So that's what we wanna do. We wanna make a second scan of this so that when we edit it, we don't actually lose the original one. So we're going to duplicate this, and as you see, we have it's labeled face scan, and we have face scan copy. You can definitely come in here, click those 3 lines again, and rename it. So since I know this is going to be turned into my tissue scan, I'm going to go ahead and label it that, just tissue, just like that. And then now moving forward through our sandbox and our tools that we have in sandbox, we're going to make sure that we're going ahead and using the one that we differentiated as the actual tissue scan. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come right here. We're going to unclick the face scan one. Of course, you can't really tell when it's gone because it's a duplicate of it, but we're going to get rid of that one just so we don't have any complications. Again, if for whatever reason you end up editing the face scan one rather than the tissue, you can definitely just go back in and swap the names. It's still going to be the same thing, but just so you can differentiate from what scan is what and what you're going to use them for, we're definitely going to go ahead and just use the tissue scan, or the one we have labeled as tissue scan. It will become our tissue scan right now. So what we're going to do is on the left side, we have all these different options. Some of them we've covered, some of them we'll cover in later videos, but right now the one we're going to use is where it says edit object. So you're going to go ahead and click on that. And what you're going to do is you're going to come down to where it says cut by. There's 4 different ways that you can cut this. Whichever one you feel more comfortable with, you can definitely use. For me, especially using it for this specific reason, which is to create a tissue scan, I do like the brush phase because I can go ahead and highlight anything that I don't want. And of course, if I highlight too much or anything, I can definitely just take away. So I really do like the brush tool. So that's the one I'm going to be using just for this instance right now. And of course, as you see here, we have this green dot, which is a representation of what we're highlighting and the area in which we're highlighting. So what we want to do is obviously bring that up because we're going to pretty much highlight all of the occlusal surface of this. So we're going to go ahead, and now you're just going to hover over, left click and hold, and just drag. And as you see, it becomes highlighted with a darker gray color. And we're just going to go around, and again, you're highlighting everything that you do not want to be present in the scan itself anymore. So we're going to go ahead and highlight all of this. We're going to rotate this. We're going to find the other areas that we want to get rid of. Again, why I like the brush tool, as you can see, I don't want to go over the ridge of this actual denture, because again, everything right here in the intaglio surface I want to keep. So I don't want to highlight anything in there. So that's why I do like the brush one, because if I go too far in, for example, like all of a sudden I do that, I can definitely come in, I'm just holding control. It's going to turn the dot red and now you're pretty much erasing. So the same way you would highlight, hold control while doing it, left click and hold, and you can go ahead and delete anything that you may have highlighted that you obviously do not want to get rid of. So we're going to keep going. And just, of course, kind of taking the point of this circle almost to the very edge of this ridge, because we don't want to go past it. But, of course, we do need all of this taken away. So it is a little tedious process, but it's almost like if you're painting or anything like that. Making this video and doing this where I feel like I'm painting, I feel like Bob Ross. But I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to highlight. If I look back over and there's anything that I may have highlighted, I went over a little bit, I can definitely get rid of it. But right now it's looking good. So I'm just going to go by, again, just kind of scan the area. If, for example, I want to highlight this, but this tool is, of course, too big right now, we're going to come back to tool size. We're going to go to this little meter. We're going to bring it down just so we can kind of get into this area a little bit better, even right here. Again, you don't have to get too crazy. It's okay if a little bit of data is left over, because most important is that you just have that tissue. Of course, your guide doesn't have to be extended too far down in any point that you may have left a little bit of material that's not actually in the patient's mouth. And of course, if we delete this and we see anything, we can definitely do some fine tuning and kind of fix it up that way. But of course, we're just going in and we're going to take this, of course, like I said, just as close to the edge as possible. Again, if there's any areas that you still feel that your brush is a little too wide, just go ahead and bring it down with that little meter where you can bring down the brush size. And again, always make sure that you didn't go over, you didn't overlap over into the intaglio surface. Just like that. So now that you've gone ahead and you've highlighted everything you need to do, on the left side you have different options. You have clear areas, invert areas. So actually, for example, with the invert areas, you could actually go inside, you could highlight the whole intaglio surface, press invert, and it'll actually just flip everything that you didn't have highlighted and pretty much highlight it. That's another way to go about it. Realistically, when you mess with these tools, you'll find tips and tricks that kind of help you go about it. I'm just showing you how I do it, but there's plenty of ways to go about doing it. And then of course you can do select all. So say you pretty much wanted to select everything and just invert it, which I'll show you. We'll do that after we delete it. You can definitely do that too. But what we want to do is we want to go cut. So you're going to go ahead and just cut. And you'll notice that it was all taken away. If you have anything like this, for example, any area that you didn't highlight, you can definitely just undo, of course, go back. Everything that you've highlighted will be there and you can find that little area and get rid of it. But another one you can do is where it says right here on the left, remove isolated components. What that pretty much means is it knows right now, because what we deleted, this little area, this material is not connected to anything. It's pretty much its own isolated component. So if you want to get rid of that, you can go ahead to remove isolated components. You can go to, of course, you have size ratio. 25% is pretty good. If you wanted to find really, really small, like there's sometimes where you can not highlight the smallest area and it leaves a little bit of material. If you really want to make sure that you've gotten rid of that, you can go ahead and bring that percentage down. I keep it at 25 because realistically, it's about how much you're going to have. If it's that small, it might not even make too big of a difference, but all you're going to do is press remove. And you'll see that that little area went away because it knows it was an isolated component. So once you've gone ahead and done that, you'll notice that we have our tissue scan, but as you probably can tell, is the top area looks like it's not highlighted, where the bottom is highlighted more of this white color. That is because the software right now is identifying this bottom part, the part that is highlighted, as pretty much the base, the working area, and that's not what we want. We want this top area to be our working area. And again, the software itself is kind of looking at this scan and saying that this is the top and this is the bottom, where in reality that is not the truth. This is the top and this is the bottom, but it is because it's from a 360 scan of a denture. So what we want to do is we want to flip this, and we want this to be our top. So what you're going to do is you're going to come right here where it says flip normals, and you're just going to click it just like I did. So again, if I click it, it unhighlights it, and now the bottom is back to being what the computer identifies, what the software identifies as the actual working area, but we want the top to be. So again, all you do is as easy as just coming over and flipping normals, just like that. And then what you can do now is, now when you are done, you're just going to go ahead and press End Tool, and you're going to finalize. Make sure you End Tool and finalize. You can't really go back and change and switch anyways, but you want to make sure you do that if there's any other changes. So of course, if you wanted to go back to Edit Object, and now let's say you want to take some areas away, if you see any straggle material, anything, you can definitely come back and use these different tools and get rid of them. Another thing too is this one does have a hole, as you see here. So if, for example, you've made this and all of a sudden you see that and you're like, oh wait, there's actually a hole here. And if you're going to build your guide, of course, it's going to make material through that hole. So of course, we want to make sure that the hole is not there. So on the left side on Edit Object, you do have an option that says Fill Holes. You're going to go ahead and click that. The software does identify the opening of the base as a hole, so you definitely don't want to select all and then go ahead and fill, because it will make the software kind of have a hard time understanding how they're going to fill this, and you can sit here for anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes of the software kind of just thinking of how it's going to fill this hole in a smooth area. So just go ahead and go to where you see the one you want. You left click and you'll select it. The outline of it will now be green. And you can go to fill. You have different options. When you fill, you can do round, curved, and flat. I always do flat, especially when filling in a hole on a tissue. You don't want to have it rounded or just, more material or less than what's actually there in the patient's mouth. The software does a really good job of making a nice, flat, clean surface, so that's really good. So you're just gonna go ahead and press fill. And as you can tell, looking at it, it's just a flat surface, and making sure that there's not like, any extra material there, because of course that can alter the fit of your surgical guide, especially if you're building it on top of this tissue. So you want to make sure that you have it on flat when filling any of those holes. Again, now you're just going to come back, you're going to end the tool, and then you're going to finalize. And then now, as you see here, I have now only my actual denture scan that we first started off with, but because I duplicated it and now I've edited it, now I also have a tissue scan. So now you are ready to, of course, come over to your implant planning. You can definitely start placing implants using your denture as reference, but of course you can also use this tissue scan that you have here, and you can use that to actually build your guide on top of. Some people may want to use the patient's denture and turn that into a surgical guide, which you can do, but others may want to make a tissue-borne guide that will have stabilization pins and just sit right on top of the tissue. So this is a good way of doing it than rather having a denture scan and a tissue scan and trying to align it using common points. That definitely can be done, and it can be done in a way where it's a perfect alignment where there is no problems, but due to the fact that it can cause problems in any way, if there's any mess up on your part, on the software's part, or anything like that, I think using the actual denture scan itself and just making it off that is a better representation of the tissue, and 100% that is a good alignment. That's it for another Workflow Wednesdays. If you guys have any questions, please comment below, and we'll see you on the next one.